Hi, my name is Kaylin Rowick, and I'm going to be talking about my research topic, which was talking about equity for English language learners in schools. So, the objective of my research was an exploration of basically the impact of ESL or ELL education on students of second languages and being able to academically achieve in both general class and standardized testing. So, again, I was looking to see just like how is it that having like ESL based instruction and accommodations, does that have an impact on like the success of English language learners? As we went through the research, some questions that I wanted to look to answer were both in the broad and personal sense to the demographic that I work with at my school. So some of the research questions that we had was how many various home languages specifically does our School of College Achieve have? Um, Does research show any variances between how students who are English language learners do on standard testings versus those whose English is their first language? Is there formative training that is being used for just general ed teachers when it comes to dealing and not dealing, but assisting English language learners? Because we're dealing with teacher shortages, is our school still able to maintain like equitable English learner accommodations? And then finally, again, thinking personally about our school that we work at, we do have a lot of English language learner families. So, do they have a perception of how we are doing as community stakeholders in supporting them and their children in learning? The justification of this study, again, just the broad sense is that in the field of education, the doors of the classroom are becoming a lot more diverse than they were previously. People from all over the world are immigrating over to America, which is wonderful. And with that, it's making our classrooms more diverse. As educators, we pride ourselves in being able to adapt and accommodate to these changes. And so part of that also comes with learning how to accommodate and adjust and assist when we have students whose first language is not English, and yet they still need to learn the basics of like English and English function to be considered members of society in America. So to do this, the methods that were used were things like surveys. We sent them out via email to parents and students and some teachers as well. Observation, as I'll talk about a little bit later, I had the opportunity to observed certain students who were classified at ESL from grade levels like K all the way up to at least one in high school. Interviews were conducted with both parents, families, and teachers alike, kind of again getting their perception of how the school was doing with their assistance of ESL or English language learner education. And then also, because the study of kind of English language learners' equity in education is rather limited, um, a big resource that was also used was looking at kind of past and current research studies that were being done on the similar topic of study, just to see like what people who were more versed in this realm were doing. So from the interviews, the observations, certain key points that were found is that at our school specifically, 97% of families who have a different home language, it was Spanish, with the other 3% being of Creole. When it came to talking about personal interpretations, unfortunately, 85% of our families interviewed felt that there was a lack of opportunity to assist their scholars in learning due to there being a language barrier and no assistance in like gapping that bridging that gap, excuse me. Through observation, it was noted that many of the English language learner students were able to have coping mechanisms are stronger when it came to mathematics due to the ability of working with numbers, which, regardless of language, tend to be relatively similar, versus there was a large struggle in dealing with English comprehension or reading. And that seemed to be where a lot of times, like translation would break down, and there might be behavior problems depending on the age range, or just kind of a lack of interest from students in general. And then thinking about the research side from other people who had studied it, there was a researcher named Dana Spohr who identified kind of in her own study that because there are so many variances when it came to ESL teachers, that would have a huge impact on students' learning. That kind of connected to our school because we only have one ESL teacher for a K through 12 building. So with behaviors coming with the language gaps in all different grade levels, it's really important that schools have more than just one person to service as many kids as they need. So from this and continuing with analysis findings, again, like I said, because this is more of a new field, we had to rely on some of our information from other people who were studying similar concepts. And one of those researchers was Tyrone Davis, who he identified that another important factor to note when it comes to how standardized test scores and academics can be impacted for English language learners is that oftentimes if there is a large gap in terms of language, but also poverty is involved. So we're Title I lower demographics that also can tend to have a huge impact on student ability to achieve well on tests because they are just trying to survive their environment around them. And then similarly, researcher Hannah Gribble was a researcher who looked to observe and see how it is that in the variances of how people can become ESL teachers, because in some states you have to have a certification to be an ESL teacher, and in other states you don't. Those differences created it so there wasn't a data range of consistency on the information needed. So basically, her study led to the understanding that there has to be something on a larger scale, like a federal larger scale, being done about equitably creating kind of a standard format of how certified, of one, they're being certified ESL teachers, and two, how these teachers interact and function in schools. Because through her research, she found that some schools would use a pull-out method, some schools would use a push-in method. Currently at our school, there is a push-in method, but there's no differentiation between what, like what I'm teaching and what the ESL teacher is teaching when I'm with her. She specifically comes in for writing, and all she really does is just reiterate what I said to the student she's working with. Now, again, looking more into it, in interviewing her, she stated that that was kind of her role of her job. But in previous schools that she had worked at, she had more of a range of creating her own lessons to really hone in and like work on specific needs of the ESL. She had said also that she had other family members who were ESL teachers that sometimes they would work on that dual language program where they would have kids for half a day and speak to them predominantly in Spanish or whatever their home language was. The same content that they would learn in grade level that they would later then interpret in English as well as time went on. So both those researchers did amazing work that found kind of like poignant points to focus on when it comes to thinking about being equitable and kind of the challenges that can be faced by English language learners in schools that are both within the hands of administration and staff and teachers there, but also outside that realm as well. So bear with me here. So here's my interpretation from the analysis that we found from the observations, surveys, interviews, and observations. The first one I'm going again is at the broader sense. So the interpretation makes us understand that there's got to be a stronger commitment generally about working to fix and make equitable English language learner education. I state this because, again, the world in America is becoming more diverse, but the methodologies of assisting that are not progressing with the amount of people who are coming into classrooms who need it. With this, because educators and ESL teachers are the first ones to kind of be impacted when you have a lot of scholars in your class that speak various languages, they're looking for that support needed to be able to help them succeed. There's a difference between just lately slightly helping them succeed and then helping them truly understand and become more independent. And many teachers seek to know what can be done to do that for their students. Again, like I said before, while in some cases, in some states, ESL's teachers do have to be certified to be able to do their job, it is still recommended that they continue to get trainings on what they're doing. Just like professional development consistently happens for teachers to hone in and fix their craft, ESL teachers need that training as well. And also, it's important to note that when it comes to standardized testing, because that was a huge focus we were looking on, is that some of the best accommodations that can help students when it comes to testing are things such like read alouds. Now thinking again now in a more personal sense, as it says on the slide, when it comes to interpreting the results from College Achieve, there is a desire for there to be a in and how the system is run. Currently, there again is a lack of positive perception of how our school is running things, and part of that comes with um, just our lack of ability of having ESL teachers. So in the teacher shortage, there isn't an equitable ability to teach the ESL students. So it is important that our next steps that we've spoken about and we'll see in the recommendations is that we find ways to get more people into the building to really assist not just students but families in being able to bridge the gap of language barriers so that there's like a comfortability that helps all coming into our school. And then finally, thinking about this in future trainings, some recommendations that I thought through of ways we could help understand and help the underserved ESL population is creating professional development trainings with programs like Sheltered in English. It was something my school did last year where it's like a whole training and just really empathizing with the concept of how ESL learners might think in schools and how that should adjust our teaching strategies. With that, that should be something that's done at the very start of the year, but then continually like reflected and put back into place throughout the rest of the year, so we don't lose the ground we started in the beginning. There needs to be, again, increased efforts of finding certified ESL teachers. If that means that maybe there needs to be more funds allocated towards their payment, then that is a discussion that we're going to have with the executive director just in order to try to figure out how we can really help those students. Part of that with the ESL teachers and general teachers, a goal we have is to create something called a parent university, where again we can try to one either do like English classes or if parents are relatively versed in English, but they still just need help and kind of a more small group help in helping their students with their work, having teachers or ESL educators assist them in that as well. And finally, we're just going to continue to research just the work that others have done on this topic area to be kind of stay up to date and just be more informed about what we can change at our school to make our school even better. So that was my presentation. Here are the references that I used, and I thank you so much for listening. I think going through this whole topic, this is the first year that I've ever had a school, or the first kind of couple of years I've ever had a school where there has been such a high ESL population. So until I started working at College Achieve, I never really thought of it as much in depth as I do now. So I look forward to beginning the kind of implementation steps of really working to make a change in our school to help serve all of the kids that we have there, not just our full English language learners. Thank you.